Good morning and welcome to the Wednesday, the 30th of September. Let's talk.
Morning.
Sun's out, it's still morning enough. And today it's actually morning.
Yes.
We talk about a couple of things today. One of the teasers we're going to do is a little bit about a restructuring of the leadership team. And as we look at coming out of COVID and coming out of COVID stronger than we went into it, it's time for us to look at that leadership team and make some adjustments. We also know that Leslie Midkiff has given her notice and that she's going to be leaving at the beginning, first quarter of next year, at least leaving as a full-time employee, but probably will do some consulting for us. We also know that our management company that runs our IT department, Tom Tucker and Michael Tucker, have given us their notice and they won't be renewing their contract in January. And again, two major pieces of our leadership team will be changing. So it's really time to look at the whole team and decide, do we have all the right people in the right places? Are we addressing all of our concerns in the best possible way? And again, we're going to be looking at that. We've been looking at that really for 3 or 4 months at this point. And it's time to start announcing to residents, to staff, what that leadership team is going to look like over the next 90 to 120 days with those two major changes and with some of the other pieces we want to move around. So I think I'm going to be invited to the Resident Association meeting for October to really talk in more detail about what that looks like and what that means to Westminster Village, our Westminster Village family. So just a little teaser there, but be ready to expect some changes and again, some talk about a transition from where we are today to coming out of COVID and a stronger leadership team thereafter. Any questions on that? Or is that enough of a teaser?
That's enough of a teaser for me.
All right. One of the things that started happening over the weekend is, and it started happening about 30 days ago, but again, as we start to kind of come out of COVID, it's time for us to have Westminster Village look like Westminster Village. Mike and his team's been really busy getting the landscaping back to where it belongs, with that focus of having that first appearance and look of what brought people to Westminster Village. It's also in the hallways. If you recall, towards the beginning of COVID, we had plastic sheets up blocking the reception from the side. We changed that, and now we have the plexiglass. We've done that in some of the restaurants. We've taken the plastic sheeting down in a bunch of areas. This week, Megan and her team started taking down all of the letters and signs and pictures from the hero halls. One of the things she's going to do is capture some of that in some picture frames so that we always have this reminder of this fun time of COVID-19 during 2020. But I think it's really cool to put some of that stuff back up, but to look the part of what it belongs in Westminster Village. So again, as we start changing some of the restrictions and start getting back to normal and opening the restaurants, we need the campus to look back like it did prior to this pandemic. So you'll start seeing that a little more each day. I know I was just asked when the beard goes and when the mohawk goes, because that's part of getting back to normal and maybe wearing a tie again. And that's coming, it's just not coming this week.
When I think of what would remind me of the coronavirus campus is the plastic clamshell containers.
Yeah.
Something you have to deal with absolutely every day.
Yeah, and nice to see those go. And I obviously haven't eaten an ocotillo, but I've heard nice things about the real forks and plates again.
It
So
is really nice.
again, it is good to see some of that getting back to normal. We've been doing the update letters twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The last 3 weeks on Monday night, we talk about it and we really say there's not a lot to put in the update letter on Tuesday. So we're going to do away with those. We're not going to have the Tuesday letters anymore. We're going to keep the Thursday updates because there's good information and there's enough changes happening during the week to keep the Thursday letters going for now. And then if we need to, we'll do an update letter on a Tuesday or a Monday or a Friday if there's a need for that. But as of now, we're gonna plan on one letter a week. We're gonna continue the Let's Talks until, again, that seems like it doesn't need to take place. I like them, so I think we'll probably keep them even if at some point they go to once a month. Any thoughts there other than the okay?
No, I'm really happy that the restaurants are opening back up because it gives the residents a chance to get together with each other.
Yep.
And start building those relationships again, that we're limiting ourselves to smaller groups. I know they're looking forward to larger groups. They want a resident meeting in Nuremberg Hall. We realize that's a little ways down the road. But the restaurants is a really good start to that.
Yeah, and then the 5th, we have a couple more changes coming. So next Monday, the cafe is going to open. The cafe will open, again, kind of like Ocotillo did. It'll be some limited seating. I think it'll be reservation only, but that'll be opening on Monday. The other exciting news is AL becomes back a part of the IL building on Monday, and people who live in assisted living will now be isolated with independent living as opposed to the healthcare center and really live by most of those rules. AL still has a few exceptions that they have to live by because of the licensing, but they're going to be able to come down, interact with independent living residents. They're going to be able to come to activities. They're going to be able to eat in the dining venues. And I think, again, that's going to be a huge positive for both our IL residents and our AL residents. So we look forward to that happening on Monday. I know Debbie's going to put out a few rules for the AL people. It's going to still mean that independent living people can't just go up to IL, without a reservation. We still got to protect that area and those residents up there who want to still keep a little bit safer area for them. They have the ability to do that, but those residents who want to come down are able to do so. I think the regulations say when an AL resident person eats in our restaurant, they can only have 2 people to a table, not 4 like we're doing in independent living. But again, it's going to be up to them to kind of self-control that. So, but that's exciting. With that, we also have opened up all the visitation, the in-person on-campus visitations. Have you heard anything, feedback on that?
Yes, the people that have been able to have their families come and sit for a 2-hour visit are really excited about that. I know that some things have been going on here, and there hasn't been a lot of open time for scheduling those, but it's getting better.
Yeah, and I hear so many good things about the family visits, and again, just I know for me how important it was to finally get to see my kids and my grandkids, and it's amazing. So I'm happy we're doing it. I know Megan and her team are working hard on making those visits happen, and we're going to start, again, reducing the restrictions there. So I think some of that's going to come out on the 360. As we're testing those people that are visiting, there's going to not be a need for us to walk them to and from the apartment at some point in the near future. So just look forward to that. Those visits are going to become easier and easier. And again, as today we're out here recording outside, it's pretty nice out. So we're going to be able to start doing some outdoor visits, which will also have less restrictions with them. So again, it is that part of starting to open up a little bit more and become more like the home you all moved into. So again, on that though, I say be patient. Let's move slowly. Coronavirus is not over. It's still a danger. It's still a risk. The numbers are good in Arizona. They're not great. And before we get to that one, I want to talk a little bit about the isolation and quarantine. The last month, my goal was to, on October 5th, go do away completely with the quarantine. And I'll tell you today, I'm not ready to do that yet. So I'm gonna put that off another 2 weeks. So we still have the 3-day quarantine with 2 days of self-checks for at least the next 2 weeks. And again, that's because we're opening the cafe and opening the restaurants, and people are coming together more. I just think we need a little bit more time before we go and completely do away with the isolation. We need to get some more visitors on this campus and make sure we can do that in a safe manner. So again, I'm asking and saying that we're gonna go 2 more weeks of the 3-day isolation with the 2-day, 2 extra days, so total 5 days of symptom checks, before we go to a 0 quarantine for leaving the campus. And again, it's definitely safer out there. I still recommend be careful where you go and who you come into contact with. I still think it's probably not a good idea to go to the casino or maybe eat indoors at a restaurant yet. So just, again, be careful while you're out there. And if you do think you had an exposure while you're out, self-isolate. Don't put anybody else at risk. Call home health and make sure they're aware that you may have had contact. And we've had this throughout the time where we've had people who went to dinner with somebody and visited their family, and the next day their family woke up sick. We've had those scares, and we've gotten lucky through this. And again, we risk that right now. But again, I do feel, and again, my team feels, it's time to open the campus a little more at a time. And again, we probably have another 2 weeks or so of being as tight as we are, but I think it's worth the wait. I know everybody doesn't think it's worth the wait, but
We'll talk about it next Wednesday again.
Yep, absolutely. And then again, to kind of go along with that is, we need everybody more than ever to again practice those basic things that keep the individual person safe, right? So as a campus, we open up a little bit more. What becomes more and more important is the masks and the shields, is the social distancing, being that 6 feet apart, and keeping your social circle small. You can get close to a small group of people, but if you're with a larger group of people, stay a little bit further away as we open the restaurants. Again, the tables are spaced. We have the small groups close, but the larger group as a whole are further away. And again, over and over and over, that shows to help prevent the spread of this virus. It helps contain it. If somebody does end up with it, it doesn't spread to 10, 15, 20 other people. So wear your mask when you're out of your apartment. Social distance. Keep your social circle small for those people that you are playing cards with and having close contact with. It keeps all of us safe, but it especially keeps you safe. Those people who are not willing to take the risk of going out to a restaurant, find out who you're eating dinner with. Make sure they're not going out to a restaurant. It's up to each of us as an individual to keep this virus off campus and away from ourselves and our loved ones.
I was out in the real world this last week, and while I didn't go in very many establishments, many of the places I saw had somebody standing at the door monitoring how many people they were letting into the store at one time, or temperature checking you before you went in. I think that living here, we don't know what's going on in the world out there. And there are places that are as cautious as we are here, but there's places where you don't want to go near.
Yep, and again, it's making good choices, and it is, if you feel like you were exposed while you're out, make sure you self-isolate. And again, I self-isolate longer, and talk to Madge and the home health team. They'll walk you through it, and they'll make sure we don't have something that we spread across campus. Nothing to do with coronavirus, but we're probably doing this differently because of coronavirus, it's almost election time. And election time means a couple of things for us here at Westminster Village. Typically, for the larger elections, we're a polling place and you can vote here. Because of coronavirus, the election board in Arizona has said no retirement communities will host voting because of the risk to the residents that live there. But there's a form and a flyer that went in everybody's box last night. And that flyer asks you for information. If you want to vote, we can have the opportunity to have somebody here from the election board to collect those votes. And the flyer is going to explain it a lot better than me, and maybe we need to bring Megan over here to explain it. But if you want to vote on campus and you want to use your absentee ballot or the vote by mail ballot that comes, you can do that. But you have to fill out that paperwork that Megan put in your mailbox, and it has to be returned to her by 5 p.m. on Friday. So that way you can have your vote and place it here in a secured box or some way by the election board. It doesn't have to go through the mail. You don't have to go find where you need to go to vote and be in line with hundreds of other people. You can vote in a secure way here on campus, but you have to sign up for that.
And you have to be a registered voter. And the last day that you can register to vote in the upcoming election is Monday, the 5th of October. But you can register online. You don't have to go to the county. You don't have to go to where you get your driver's license. You can register online. And there are plenty of residents who have iPads or computer access and would be happy to help you to register to vote. But that has to be done by Monday. And then the next step in that would be, once you've registered to vote, then you can choose to get your ballot, your absentee ballot by mail. And when you get your ballot here by mail, then the county is providing a way for you to get that ballot, a secure way for you to get that ballot to them. I imagine they're going to be busy going around to all of the retirement communities and picking up those ballots.
Yeah.
But the first step is registration. Even if you were registered when you lived in Phoenix and you moved here in the last few years, you need to change your address on your registration also. So be sure to do that.
So register to vote by Monday. Sign up for an absentee by
The 23rd.
the 23rd. But get in your paperwork to Megan by 5 p.m. Friday if you want to be able to have your vote taken from Westminster Village in a secure way. You always have the option of putting it in the mailbox and going through the mail. But again, the election board is allowing somebody to be here to collect those ballots. And again, more information can be asked of Megan at 2477. We've done enough of these. I finally know somebody's extension besides the front desk. Pretty amazing. Any other things we should talk about today? There's not a clock up there, so I have no idea how long we've been talking today.
Maybe 42 minutes.
Wow.
Maybe we didn't start on time.
Yeah, I don't think we started on time. But it's pretty nice out here. I wish Jayhawk was open because it'd be nice to be able to sit out here for another half hour with a drink.
When is Jayhawk opening?
So Jayhawk can't open yet, but Mike is working on, now that AL is opening, we're going to be able to do some happy hour events in there with food. So I think that's coming pretty soon as well. Mike's pretty excited about that.
The residents will be too.
Yep.
Watch your mailboxes.
All right. Well, thank you all and have a good night, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.